But when it came down, I really thought the bear was going to get you. There was no way the bear wasn't going to get you. And I'm filming tight on the bear, expecting to see you come into the frame. Yeah. I'm real close up on the bear, and I see the bear get to where you were, and you weren't there.
Yeah. It was a hopeless run, but I think it was enough.
It was exactly enough.
It was enough where Joe got a chance to get his rifle up and shoot at him.
Well, his rifle was up, but he couldn't see him. I could see from the camera. The bear was, when it first came over the top, it wasn't in clear view of Joe. When Joe yelled, "It's coming," you needed to run, or the bear could have got to you before the rifle could have got to the bullet, could have got to the bear.
Oh, yeah.
You covered just enough ground, and Joe was just enough of a shot. Looking through the camera, there was an instant that I really thought I was going to film my friend being killed by a bear. We laugh, nervous laugh. Strange feeling through the camera. I can't imagine what it was looking at that damn bear coming over the ice hump.
And this person that wanted to buy the tag, he hunts polar bears with bow and arrow. And if we approve this person that wants to come up to hunt with bow and arrow, he said he was going to be bringing a cameraman with him.
Our adventure begins a full year before the hunt, as bowhunter Bob Foulkrod's request for a polar bear license is considered by an Eskimo settlement which has never before allowed sport hunting.
This just means getting one more polar bear from the quota.
In this time of jet travel and sophisticated communications, the world has lost much of its magic. We join Bob Foulkrod and Bob McGuire now as they enter a place where the horizons and vistas have yet to surrender their timeless mysteries. A place where people still honor their past, their traditions. Our destination is the tiny village of Coral Harbor in the Keewatin district of Canada's Great Northwest Territories. The Keewatin, named by Chippewa Indians as the Windy Place, is a land of haunting beauty and stark contrasts. After some 4 days of travel, this was the jumping-off point for the expedition. Base camp lay over 100 miles overland to the north, and all equipment, provisions, even the dogs and sleds, had to be transported by snow machine to the north shore of Southampton Island. Nestled like a fragile snowflower on a harsh land of stark realities, the tiny hamlet of Coral Harbor offers home to some 450 Inuit, home to an Eskimo people. A tenacious people who learn to be resourceful and patient in adapting to this harsh environment. The ancestors of present-day Inuit were people of Asian descent, who migrated from Siberia to Alaska over 8,000 years ago. They have mastered the art of living here with its extremes, balancing between their own needs and the unpredictability of nature. They are an accommodating people whose polite nature belies their perception. It has been said that if the Inuit were in charge of world politics, there would be no war. The hunters were now on the land for the first day of their expedition. Although the Inuit guides often enjoyed the fine food they prepared for Foulkrod and McGuire, their dinner might just as easily be chopped from a block of frozen raw meat. Foulkrod tasted several of their snacks. The weather steadily worsened throughout the day, and major landmarks eventually became obscured. The expedition encountered a small herd of caribou shortly before establishing a temporary tent camp. Throughout the filming, you will occasionally hear Bob Foulkrod's actual field notes as he dictated a continuous diary into his small cassette recorder.
We have it white out right now. You can see just about maybe 100 yards around you, but that's about it. Just going to take a few pictures and we're going to wait for it to lift.
We didn't make our destination tonight, but we will tomorrow.
3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, the 17th. The weather's starting pretty much to lift. You can see some so-called mountains, hillsides. Blue sky, the wind's blowing 15 to 20 miles an hour. And we're going to attempt to break camp. In fact, we're breaking camp right now as I'm talking, and be on our way.
A late start and poor snow conditions set the expedition back many hours, and darkness on the second day found them still several miles from the base camp, attempting to dislodge dinner from beneath the frozen river. The sound you hear is the frozen zoom servo on McGuire's camera lens. The Eskimos had earlier placed a net beneath the thick river ice and now had to chop 2 holes, one at each end, in order to retrieve their catch. The net would be threaded back into place by a long rope attached to both ends.
Supper on its way. New way to fish down home, eh?
Yeah, we used to use this for a ring back when we had nothing else much fish.
Aha! One fish. Wait a minute, I'll be live. Huh? Hold on. Fresh fish.
Keep pulling. We're running out of light. Pull the net.
Here comes another one. Aha! Another one. There's a nice one. Whoa! That's it, eh? Supper, my friend. You see him, Bob? Yipper. Yipper, that's supper. Yep,
Arctic
supper.
char. Fine fare for any table.
Good. Good eating. Look at that. And the broadhead's got replaceable blades.
The following morning found Foulkrod giving archery lessons to the Eskimo guides.
There's a little groove. You set the replaceable blade into it. It'll go right through a bear. Oh, without any problem, unless you hit something like a solid shoulder bone. That's a little broadhead wrench that comes with it. That's so you just tighten it down on that lock washer. Spin the arrow. This arrow is bent any place from the tip of this to your nock. You'll see it waver. It'll actually go not quite that bad, but near within 1,000th. And these particular arrows here, we checked them many, many times, and that's perfect.
That afternoon, most of the support group had returned to Coral Harbor, leaving our hunters in pursuit of bears. Bears frequently travel the flow edge, where ocean water meets land-connected ice. Getting to the flow edge is not always easy, however, as changing wind directions can break off giant slabs of ice, and cold weather combined with shore currents can suddenly cause vast surfaces of ice to appear.
Okay.
The flow edge can shift several miles in a single day.
Ooh, real soft. Soft there, eh? Yeah. You guys, a little bit more. Softens it up. Really. Be able to get down there. Walk around. Looks like this is the end of the trail for here, eh? Yeah, with his head on the other way.
There was always the danger that the hunters might be out on the ice when a large slab broke off.
Why does this break off like this, eh? Yeah, this part breaks off quite a bit. It's stuck on now, but a little too soft yet. Needs another day or two of freezing, eh? Yeah. Then we'll be able to travel out on it? That should be able to. Probably some bears down there, but... On the other side to the point? Yeah, the other side of the point go further down here. I wanted to check the other side of that point, but there's usually some bears down around that area. Or maybe we could even climb up a bit, use the binoculars and check out the other side. Looks like an open spot of water out, right out there, eh? Yeah, should be open water down there. The bears will follow the open water? Yeah, some of them, a lot of them walk close to the open water along the flow edge. Looking for the seals, eh? Yeah. We passed a seal or two, I think, down back a ways. In the breathing hole? Yeah. Further in, yeah. There's one not too far down here. The bears, they can walk on this pretty good, eh? Yeah, they walk. They don't care if they fall through, so. Yeah, not like us, eh? No.
Hunters soon learned to follow in the footsteps of an Eskimo, never out onto untested ice alone.
Well, maybe we can get going. Okay.
Joe Netzer, a middle-aged Coral Harbor Inuit, was in charge of the expedition.
untangle the line while he's making tea. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Good idea?
Sound like good idea to me. Ooh.
How long does ice take to melt up here?
About as long as it does down home.
When it gets hot enough. Boy, it's nice out today.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
You wouldn't want to walk across that, would you?
No, Joe tested it. He's on the other side of the hill now looking for bears. Or a bear. One would do fine.
One would be more than enough.
What we need is to get the bear from there into here. Have to make sound like seal.
Okay.
I've been playing with this glove, see? When I get ready to shoot, I take this glove off and throw it over my shoulder. Tab's right in front of me. Should work really fine, I hope.
Netzer had now taken Foulkrod back to the location where they had observed 3 ringed seals basking in the sun. Foulkrod had been on the stalk for over an hour before 2 of the seals detected him and slipped through their ice holes into the sanctuary of the sea. The following day found our hunters relocating camp some 30 miles to an area in which seals commonly establish birthing dens. Polar bears frequently feed in these areas.
Not bad, half an igloo.
And a little cheese if you behave yourself, and a cup of tea if you please.
Squeaky footsteps are sure evidence of super cold snow. Unlike the soft powder of warm snow, this Arctic snow sets up like concrete and squeaks like styrofoam.
Ready to kill a bear.
After a noon tea break, Netzer took McGuire to the remains of ancient Eskimo sod huts. An Arctic fox track wandered through the whale bones and an old polar bear skull discarded by early Eskimo inhabitants. Filming across the frozen bay, McGuire could see their evening destination, an ice-bound island several miles away.
This is all built from the inside out, eh?
Yeah. Should have enough water there in there too. No? If everything works out.
This is easier than putting a tent up, eh? You don't have to carry it with you. A little hard to do in the summertime, though, huh?
Easier than working with wood.
No saws, no tape measures, no two igloos the same. I see you started up.
No wife complain about the floor plan.
Yeah, where's the sink and the kitchen stove going?
Where's the bathroom? That's what I want to know. That car could be cold.
It's like feeding time. Don't mess up my one blocker. Good last time. be all fed and we'll be ready for bed. I want my kitchen to go right here.
Yeah, we'll have that there.
Okay. Doesn't want to lighten the snow, eh?
Inuit have always killed polar bears for their hides, for self-protection, and as an undisputable sign of honor. With Aboriginal peoples, hunting is a way of life. With the Inuit, polar bears are now one of the most valuable resources they manage. We wonder about the contradictions, about why animals have suddenly become more important than man in areas of the world where proper conservation techniques are, and always have been, in use. We wonder why the European and North American communities and their media are so caught up in a cause that they remain disinterested or did not take the time to learn the Aboriginal people's point of view.
See this igloo from where I am right now. They got the light shining inside, and it's just kind of a big glow coming out through.
Ay 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 te kera takpanga te kera takpanga pesik samay maubla kunima sinik takveob elo anonima ay 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 nagling ng loeva pisik sa na tainik sa
In 1967, scientists from all around the world met to discuss the future of the polar bear. Russia and Norway opted to end polar bear hunting entirely, and the United States and Denmark limited killing of bears to subsistence hunters. In Canada, because it was felt that polar bear populations were not in danger, and because polar bear hunting is an important part of Inuit culture, management by a quota system was decided upon. Under the quota, a total of approximately 600 bears may be killed per year in settlements where polar bears have been traditionally hunted from dog sleds by Eskimo hunters in older times. The polar bear population has continued to increase under this quota system.
Agjalok pang mata o kau sing manado saksa.
While looking for bears, the hunters often encountered seals, but rarely had time to hunt them.
To saksa sang mano ke ong le mixi modle Kata saktonga igloos yo mixan onimai ya 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 ay ya 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 ya.
In slow motion, you can see the arrow strike home, directly beneath the seal's chin.
Toko yang mana tokane ane gosang meng mana ngeramone masale sagam topko yak seong nakpai.
Foulkrod's arrow floated free shortly before the seal floated to the surface.
We saw bear tracks right behind the camp.
Over 40 miles on dog sled the day before, with no sign of bears. The exhausted hunters had finally returned at nightfall and barely had time to shut their eyes for a brief 2 hours of darkness before an adult male polar bear wandered through camp.
We got up in the morning and a polar bear had came into the camp last night. Walked within actually feet of the igloo. Everybody kind of heard the dogs howling. Didn't really think too much of it at the time. We got the dogs up real fast, and we took the dogs after the polar bear crossed the ice, hoping that he would stop to hunt for some seals along the way before he got to the flow's edge. And the flow's edge is actually the open water.
After nearly an hour, the hunters joined up on the ice. In the melee at the igloo, Foulkrod and Netzer had immediately hitched the dogs and raced away on the track. Starting inland, the bear had eventually turned back toward the open water. McGuire and John Shimu, meanwhile, had scrambled through the camera gear hoping for charged batteries. Throwing things together, they had set out in the general direction of the flow edge. It was no secret where this bear was headed. When the bear tracks turned back through rough, broken ice, McGuire and Shimu once again shouldered the camera packs and set out alone. Their only hope was for Foulkrod and Netzer to turn the bear away from the flow edge back toward McGuire. The dog sled did manage to reach the flow edge first, and the hunters succeeded in turning the bear back toward land, where it raced past the camera crew. Downwind, the bear had not detected McGuire and Shimu, but was out of sight before the camera could be removed from its thermal pack. Foulkrod describes the chase.
He saw us way out, started cutting back inland toward toward inland, and we kept pushing him on the dog sleds and tiring him out. I say tiring him out, it's been an all-day process.
The dog sled was now about 2 minutes behind as the bear had quickened its pace on open ice. The camera crew now picked up the new direction and followed behind.
He's pretty tired from the dogs chasing him.
By the time McGuire and Eskimo arrived on the scene, the situation was stable. The bear had already rushed the hunters from a hiding place in the broken ice. Joe Netzer knows polar bears. Suspecting an ambush when he saw the bear tracks disappear into a pressure ridge, Netzer had restrained the dogs and simply stood his ground. No shots had been fired with bow or with gun.
60 yards twice. I'll try to close the gap up if I can, Bob.
The bear had immediately backed down and was leisurely eating snow. It seemed oblivious to the humans and dogs. Humans are just another food source to a hungry polar bear. But there was sufficient strength in this confrontation to hold the bear in place.
Looks like a good hit, Bob. Looks like a real good hit.
He's got a poor angle right there. He's facing the other way. I don't know if I can come in from the other way or not.
Yeah, why don't you get around? I'll be out here and
Joe, you tell me if he's going to come. I'm going to try to go around this way.
There was no doubt that the bear was down for good, but Foulkrod approached carefully from a direction which would offer a good archery shot. From his position behind the broken ice, Foulkrod could not see the bear, but there was no doubt something was not right.
Bob, he's coming. Wow. Ooh. Makes the old heart boil, doesn't it? Oh. Yeah, it sure does.
This is where I jumped and over here and fell, and Joe hit him right there. I think it's about 9-10 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 yards. That's where Joe hit him. And I was mighty glad to hear that gun crack.
I was mighty glad to see that bear roll over.
Yeah, same here.
Ooh. Where was you, John, over there?
Yeah, I was just standing there.
You was watching the whole thing, eh?
Yeah. No, we got it.
You know, Joe and I got it. Yeah, we got him together.
That was super sad. I knew it was going to die. Yeah, we better go.
Hey, Bob. Little excitement?
You asked me why I ran? When he came over that, I was...
How close was he?
He come over the top, and I was looking right in his eyes, right there. And I started to run. And I knew that Joe was standing there, eh? And when I didn't hear the rifle crack there, I knew I was in trouble. So I ran, and I fell. And when Joe hit him, he was right there. He wasn't running past me. He was running at me. Probably should have came over here and just left him be. In this case, it would have been a legit polar bear with a bow if we'd left him be. Something in there.
Look at that claws.
Look at his teeth.
Get it out of me.
Need to get some pictures.
Yeah.
Of Joe and me. The dual team. Did he pick his head up or anything? Give you any indication that he was coming, or he
No,
just...
he just got up and took off. Just like that. Ooh. He's a fast one too. Not much fat on him.
With a heritage of hunting, the heartbeat of survival. On the polar ice this day, a kinship was established. And with it came a shallow understanding of what could have been, what surely has been, for generations of Eskimos. For a modern time sport hunter, perhaps an adrenaline addiction. For an Inuk, a simple, tenacious grip on a solid Aboriginal heritage. Survival together.
And as I was moving in, he just up and whirled with one motion when he was coming for me. And Joe hollered, expecting to shoot right away, and he didn't. He hit the top of the little ice chunk he was behind, which only put him 15 yards. Then when his front feet hit the ground in front of me, he was 8 to 10 yards away. I immediately turned and run to save my ass, needless to say. Just as I had turned to run, I jumped on a piece of ice and I slipped and fell and went down the road. Joe shot him. He was 8 yards from me at the time, maybe even a little less. It was sure, sure an experience. This is polar bears all skinned and laying on the ice, and I'm sure. I'm still quite excited. I'm sure this will all catch up to me here sooner or later. Take some pictures of his tracks coming across the snow. It's something to have a bear charging at you, that's for sure. You have no idea. I thought for sure that I was certainly glad to hear that 375 Magnum touch off. Pleasant sound to my ears.
I really thought for a moment I was going to film the bear killing him.
Yeah, so there ain't no doubt.
Yeah, but you were probably thinking, let me get out of here. I was thinking I was going to film you dying.
This video was sponsored in part by Golden Eagle Archery, manufacturers of high-quality archery and hunting products.